base is home. Base is the family, and base has to be straight. As fathers and husbands, like there's a lot of work we have to do. We're trying to grow ourselves to become better fathers, to become better husbands. And if, we're not working on that, then all this stuff that we do doesn't matter. You can be mad about it and do it, or you can just get over it and do it, or you can fix it and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't ever say get over it. You might get in deeper trouble with that. Just get over it, girl.
Getting in a marriage is not about, just, all right, if it doesn't work, that's it, right?
You just quit.
Yeah, it's like, he or she is not what I expected, that's...
Someone needs to tell J-Lo that.
Right?
For real.
It's time we unite, yeah. Put our differences aside, yeah. And fight for our lives, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I said they hit us in the morning where before the sun.
So, speaking of off topic, I got me one of those, truth-telling scales that does your BMI, your body fat percentage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Got some work to do up in here.
What's your BMI? Or what's your...
I think the BMI said 42%. I don't know what that means, but
Bro, I don't even...
42% is... I just know my body fat is 42%.
Your body fat?
Yeah, that's high. Yeah.
Your body fat or your BMI?
That's what it said, BMI and body fat, bro.
Oh.
I'm not a scientist, okay?
No, BMI is fucking weird.
Body mass index.
Yeah.
Your boy Mike. I don't know what the I stands for, but yeah. Got me one of those bad boys. And so I'm using that as a tool now.
I like that I can put my hands over here now. I don't have to worry about hitting stuff. But you ready?
You ready, bro? That was my rolling start.
Oh, my bad.
Announcement to people that I got a legit scale now.
Got stuff to do.
It's expensive as hell.
But hey, you know what time it is. Welcome back to the Nesian podcast. The Baldy Boys are back for another episode. And this is the Pacific Islanders podcast where we tell our stories and our lessons of our journey to help you on yours. What up, dude?
We're back again. I feel like a real podcaster now.
Yeah, you've
this
done
is the
more
most freaking we've done this year.
Yeah, it's basically because we're front loading because I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks. So we're trying to record some podcasts to release every week while I'm gone. Hopefully,
this will be the third one in the shoot now. I got work to do.
So Mark has something to do. He has to run the shop.
Oh man,
he has to do all the orders, and he has to put these podcasts together, upload and everything. And while I'm gonna have to be checking while I'm out I'm gonna be out in the Philippines. I'll be going to Japan, Saipan. So
Philippines, Japan, Saipan.
Yeah,
not Hawaii. Oh no, I was
not
thinking Hawaii
this time. Not yet.
That's right.
Hopefully.
Japan was the one I was getting wrong.
Hopefully later this year. But yeah, man. Back for another one. Back for another one. I can tell so we're recording this on Friday and today I was driving around and stuff, and you can tell it's Friday because everybody on the road has their damn phone out looking out. I don't know what are we gonna do today, or what are we gonna do tonight, and stuff like that. Because I almost got hit. Somebody swerving on their phone, and then on the way back here, same thing.
It was
people just swerving because they're looking at their damn phone.
It took me a minute to turn in here. That's how busy it was out there.
Yeah, you can tell it's Friday. But you remember during that time, like during COVID, or like a little bit after COVID, I say even just like last year, bro, like the roads were clear on Fridays. Like people still working from home and stuff like that. You can tell stuff's getting really like back to normal and stuff. So everybody's back on the roads and everything. So
everybody's having to go to work.
Yeah. It's like you cannot work from home anymore.
It's like the rest of us.
This is real life stuff. But yeah, speaking of real life stuff,
well, before we start, if you made it to this episode, we do apologize again for the audio issues we had in the last couple.
Yeah, that was very... the sad part about that is we recorded the pods and everything looked fine with the equipment, and then we didn't even realize it till it was done. And then we realized the card...
It was a faulty card.
Yeah, the card didn't
on the one with
any information on it.
So nothing. It never recorded. So but I have proof I recorded it. So
yeah, and he had to make sure because he's done it before. Footage. Yeah, but it's like it sucks because that's not the quality that we want to put out. Yeah. But we also didn't want viewers to miss the conversations that we had because they were really good conversations and
plus the time they took to come out and podcast with us.
Mm-hmm.
We want to value their time.
Yeah. So we want to still put it out, and all the stuff that they talked about with their journeys stuff, and just get it out. But at the same time, we're not. Please don't expect that to be the standard, that we put out. So we hope you guys are still able to enjoy those. For those that really follow us and listen to our episodes that we release. So, and I hope you were able to gain something from those stories. Had some really good conversations with Warren and with Cam, and we also dropped the pod with eating, like dieting, basically, our version of diets. So and what works for us. So we hope even though the audio wasn't top notch, hope that he gained something from that. Yeah.
So we got new memory cards and we're back up and running. So
so it's just adjusting, checking things. I mean, we've been using this for 3 years now, 2-3 years. So we're glad that it's not the actual
unit itself.
It's just we just had to get new memory cards and stuff, and then we had to change up some stuff, and we'll be keep adjusting. We have some ideas in mind for the future when it comes to the podcast and just how we kind of run it, because as you can see, we're in our shop at NBHQ, and space is once again becoming very limited here. So we're looking into some options for the future when it comes to the podcast, because I'm assuming, and I really feel like we're going to be doing a lot more in the near future and in the future, because of how things are going and all the things that we're doing and trying to do. So we're just gonna want to share. We just want to share more of the journey and share other people's journey. So it's becoming a thing, and we're enjoying it, and we're learning, and we're growing. So
and we're upgrading. Slowly but surely.
Little
by little.
But yeah, man. So today,
it's kind of a request, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a request. Somebody messaged, and I don't want to put a name out there because I didn't know if they wanted that or not, but I'm just gonna somebody messaged, and really good topic that they wanted us to kind of talk about, with our experiences with it and kind of how we go about it. And it's part of our foundation, it's the number one thing in our foundation, and it's something that we've brought up in past episodes, here and there, little touch on it here and there, but I feel like maybe going a little deeper could help people. Learning from our journeys of going through it, and then making our mistakes and still making mistakes and still growing and still learning and adapting. And I think this one would kind of benefit people. Maybe hopefully you don't make the same mistakes we make, or just those kind of things. And maybe some of the things that we do will work for you, maybe some of them won't, but it's just kind of the way we feel. We're trying our best, and you just learn as we go, and hopefully do the best we can. That's
always the hope.
So today is really about the family mindset and how we go about being fathers and husbands. And as we we work full-time jobs, we have children, we have Nesian built that we're trying to grow and share with our people, and just a lot of things that go on. And like I said, family is number one in our foundation. And I always think about like how everything that happens in our lives, like if you can, like I can be the best. I mean, I'm not even close, right? But I can be the best number one marathon runner in the world. I can lift more weight than anybody else out there in the world. I can be popular as hell on social media. I can be an influencer. I can have all this money, but I can tell you that if my family, if it's not straight, if my things aren't straight at home with my family, that will create everything else to fall apart at some point. Or it will hinder or affect everything at least. And I always feel like that's why I say it's number one, because I feel like base is home. base is the family, and base has to be straight.
Yeah.
And as fathers and husbands, like there's a lot of work we have to do. We're trying to grow ourselves to become better fathers, to become better husbands. And if, we're not working on that, then all this stuff that we do doesn't matter. And you can put out a show and you can, act a certain way, but it's, what it really is, in the home. And
yeah.
So
I feel like at some point it'll rear its head,
yeah,
what's really going on.
Yeah. So it's like, it's been a journey. Like if you really think about it. So, so for me, like I've been married for 13 years. I have 3 boys. Mark is a dad also, and
1 boy, 1 girl.
Got 1 boy, 1 girl. So it's different, right? So like I have 3 boys. He has a boy and a girl, and these are experiences that
Yeah.
it's just different. It's different raising boys, different raising girls, and then we've like if I go back, I want to go try and do that first. So I grew up. I grew up with my parents the same way. They were young. They were young, young couple, military, right? My dad was in the military, and they ended up getting divorced, I think around after 10 years or something like that. These are things that play a role in how you're affected as you grow, right?
Yeah.
So them getting divorced, them separating, me not being around my dad, growing up, that affected how I matured and how I grew up and stuff. So if I knew that when I got married, not at the very beginning, but as time went on and I saw like what I wanted to be in my kids' life, I knew that getting divorced and splitting up would be easily detrimental to my kids, right? Could be detrimental to my kids. Especially raising boys. Like I feel like they need to have a man in their life.
Father figure.
Yeah, a father figure. And that was, even though, and what I say when it comes to this might be controversial, but I'm big on, not big on, but I completely understand like people not wanting to like if you're in a relationship and it's and you're staying in a relationship because you have kids, like that, for me, I don't think that's not healthy. And I think that, there's ways to go about it that can still work. And we've seen it before. Like we know, I know a lot of people that, they're fine,
Yeah, I think it just definitely depends on the dynamic and the relationship between the two.
Yeah.
If it's volatile and you're together for the kids, as they say, that can, you could pass on a lot of trauma, to your kids, you know what I mean? But if you guys get along very well and you can make it work, that might work too for people. It just depends. I think it depends. Yeah.
And like I said,
like you said, we've seen it before. You've seen it.
You've seen it work, and it's whatever. But I just never really just thought that it's like I just think about like what I saw as a kid, like growing up, the way my parents were to each other during that time. Young couple, I don't blame them. Like I understand they're a young couple when they're together. They had kids and stresses of having kids and military life and stuff like that. I get it, but just seeing that and knowing, okay, they just stayed together because they had us. That's not a healthy environment for me and my brother to grow up in. It wasn't probably not the best place, and probably things that we probably would have taken on into our adulthood and stuff that we just. I'm glad it didn't, but I'm saying that because I just believe that I'm proud of that. I didn't take on that those experiences and bring it to a negative light to where I just thought that's the way it should be. I just know that I didn't want my relationship to be like that. And knowing, me and my wife's relationship, rocky early on because of so many things happening, and we're so young, right? And
sounds similar.
young
military,
exactly,
having kids, it repeats itself.
Exactly. So like going into it, it's everything's great, but when life starts hitting you, things start happening, like it can come real quick to where you be like, this is not working. We just ended, But knowing what I know now and seeing it, I think in a different light, right? Perspective, it's like getting in a marriage is not about, just, all right, if it doesn't work, that's it, right?
You just quit.
Yeah, it's like, she's like, he or she is not what I expected, that's.
Someone needs to tell J-Lo that.
Right?
For real, did she think
she's we're like 5 or 6 times.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Jeez. But yeah, man, it's just like, and I mean, I'm not judging anybody that does, like, you go through different experiences and you navigate it differently than, other people. But this is just like I'm saying, this is our experience, my experience. And I just knew that, like, I'm not perfect. I can't expect my partner to be perfect. So we have to deal with each other's flaws and we have to grow together. And I can say, like, that's really a big part in why I think me and my wife's relationship has gotten so much stronger is because of
over
that.
The years, yeah.
She's seen me at my worst. She's seen me grow. She's seen me change. She's been with me through a lot of stuff, and a lot of times where I did dumb stuff where she could have left me, but she didn't, like, and that's, taking that into account, like thinking, all right, when you do it, you're in for the long run. You accept it and you accept the flaws and you work with it and you grow with each other.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's part of the vows,
right?
But I mean, for better, for worse.
But some people don't even value that stuff anymore. Like, it's
that's
like
true.
It's
just words.
I think it's just
people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, it's not like I feel like how it used to be a long time ago.
Yeah.
Let's say maybe like the 60s or something, 60s, 70s. Like it meant something, to go into church and do all that. And it's, I mean, like I said, I've made my mistakes and I've done things where she could have just left me, man. Like she could have just been like, you talk to me this way, you're drinking this much, stuff like that, like easily. But her, going through it with me and understanding of, well, he don't know what he don't know. He's stupid. He thinks this is the way it should be, and he can talk like this, and it's just one of those things. And also me on the other side, learning on, same thing, patience and dealing with all the things that come along with it.
Yeah.
Isn't
that a crazy thought though? It's like when you're in that moment, if you don't know what you don't know, and you're going through a relationship, you're going through a rough patch, tough times. You seeing it now in hindsight, it's like sometimes you got to go through those things. Yeah. You got to learn to grow. Your relationship is not. It's not going to be easy. It's a constant. It's up and down.
Yeah.
For the lifetime of your guys' relationship, I've noticed that too with me and my wife's relationship. There's a lot of ups and downs, of course, with everybody, and there's a lot of changes in life. Then you also have to compensate for getting, dating, getting serious, getting engaged, getting married, having kids, buying your first house, or all those different experiences. All of that. Where's I going with that? You have to be willing and you have to be ready for all those changes in life. So, but the only way to learn from it is to go through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just crazy to see that, like, if it did happen, like if you guys did split, where would you be right now?
Exactly.
How much of it would you have taken and learned from? You might have, it might have worked out better. It might have worked out worse. You just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's what like relationships are. It's like being able to go through the ups and downs and deal with the things and just, but you have to like understanding you have to deal with that together. You know, it's not one against the other. It's not about who's right. It's about, dealing with the stuff and going through the damn roller coaster and knowing it's gonna be that way. It's not, it's gonna be up and down. It's not always,
give and take.
You have those highs, right? Like those highs can be high as hell and you're just like, oh, this is perfect. And then when the lows come, and I've been that way too, where, like I'm like quiet, right? About something, like something pissed me off. I'm quiet. And this is how I used to be. I'll be quiet about something, not say anything for the longest time, and then get drunk. Right. Drinking by myself, get drunk. And then after something said or something, just acting all crazy, acting, weird. And then after that, that's when it comes out, and it comes out bad, and it comes out in a way that's not how it should have happened.
Yeah.
And those are times that, I regret, of course, but at the same time, I learned from that. And that's another big reason why I don't drink like I used to. Like, it just adds on to reasons why I don't want to drink, other than the fitness parts, right? Yeah. And I don't know. It's just
It's crazy. Sometimes too, people don't learn from that.
Yeah.
Like, other people, they don't learn from their mistakes or stuff like that. And they just continue the pattern.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Because it's a norm, bro. That's the norm. And, that's part of the highs and the lows of your relationship. The highs and lows can be different for people, right? Yep. That can be a high and a low. It's like, it gets exciting when we start arguing about stuff or fighting about stuff.
Oh man, I hate arguing and fighting.
I know, but some people love the,
I know
the drinking and confrontation because it's like, oh, later I can use this as a way to get out. I was just drinking too much. Like, and I would try to pull that stuff too, Not the best thing, but it's a way out. I was drinking. I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah, you had an excuse.
Yeah, and it's like now, I just don't run things like that in my mind. I don't run things the same way. And every time, in our relationship now, when things happen, and if it's not, it's not the standard or what I expect, or it's just we're just not happy with the situation or something. I just always see it as, okay, this is what it is right now. Just deal with it right now.
Right. But does it feel any easier?
It doesn't feel easier. No, it's the same. It's just, for me, for the most part, it's being level-headed in all the situations and knowing, okay, this is just a period of time where it's going to be hard. It's like our move. Like we just, we sold our house and we moved. Like it was a hard period of time. And my wife was pregnant. I was training for Ironman. Like all these things were going on. Yeah. And for me, my wife was very stressed during this time, and she's pregnant, right? So it just adds on. So me having to be away and train and then do all these things and still, run the business is stressful for her. Yeah. And I had to understand my part in her stress, and so I have to, make up and compensate for that. Like, okay, I'm doing these things and, we're moving, we're trying to sell the house. And once my opportunity comes to help and to do all these other things, I need to do as much as possible to compensate for that. Yeah. And understanding like she has a reason to be stressed and she has a reason to be probably mad at me at some point or for something. And she's pregnant and we're selling the house. So I have to understand. A lot going on. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. So I have to understand if that's going on, like that's happening in my mind. It's not add to the fire. It's try and lessen the fire. Yeah. Do something or be there. Just understanding is a very big point. Understanding what's going on and try and not add to that. Just try and understand this is how it's going to be for a little bit. Once this is over with, you can go back and hopefully go to another high. Sometimes it doesn't go to another high, but then that's just another period of time. Just keep looking at it like that. But you grow through that, and it's like those hard times are there for a reason. Like I always think like that's every time a hard time comes for anything, I just think, okay, what is this going to teach me? What are we going to learn from this? This is just a test. It's a test for everything. It's a test to see how far you're going to go with it. So I just look at it that way. And like, it's crazy because you bring up the whole part, like with, like different changes in life and stuff that happens as your relationship goes on. And a big thing is like having kids, like just having kids alone, just adding to the family. And that can be super stressful and very daunting, right? Because if you don't have kids, right? Yeah. If you don't have kids, it's daunting. Just thinking like, we're not a kid. Now you're thinking about how you're going to manage your time, financial stuff, like, work, all that stuff, right? You're worried about all these things.
Especially if you're both working.
Yeah. Like who's going to watch the baby when the baby's doing this and doing that? Who's going to be there? Like you're worrying about so much stuff. And it seems like this is going to be really hard and it almost seems impossible, sometimes it sounds crazy. Like life is about to change dramatically and it will. Yep. But that's the part of growing and adapting. And it's like, and then it all changes over time. Right. So how old were you when you had Liam?
2013. How many years ago is that?
So that's about
20, that's like, was that 24?
2014? I don't even know how old you are now.
2013.
2013.
My math. Okay, always gives me math problems while I'm on the spot. What year is it? I'm going to cut this part out.
But he's... Damn, Get his age in my.
What
is his age for age?
He's 11. Okay. He's gonna be 12. I'm 38.
Okay.
That's like 26. What is it? What did I say? What did I say?
You said he's 11.
38 minus 11, dude. 20. Yeah, 27.
So you're 27.
I said 24.
Okay.
Okay, wait. 27. I'm cutting all that out.
Just leave it in there. Oh, fucking good.
No, I'm 27. I was 27.
All right, so you're 27, right?
Up there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a little older, a little more mature.
Yeah.
You know? You would think.
Yeah. Still in my 20s. Late 20s, yeah. I was getting there.
See, so you had a very different experience, I'm sure, than I did. Because, and you and Heather were together for how long?
Since 2004.
See? Okay, so very different from... Yeah. See, so this is why we want to talk about it, right? Very different experiences. So I was 23 when we had Andre. I was 23 years old.
Young buck.
Young, right. So a lot of things happening in life during this time.
Yeah.
Me and Ching just got married a couple months before Andre was born.
Yeah.
So we were only together for, I think a little over a year. Yeah. And I was 23 years old, brand new in the Army, and we moved to Kansas. Ching left her job.
Yep.
She was going to school and working. She left her job, moved to Kansas. Dramatic changes, like a bunch of changes
from the island.
No, from Washington.
Okay.
She was here in Washington going to school. So a bunch of things going on. First kid, 23 years old, right? We go over there. It is hard. It is hard. Like, our relationship struggled during the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on. We just so brand new to it. It was hard to us at that time, and just thinking like, I'm trying to get right in the Army. My wife's trying to, adapt to Army life and living in this whole new state with,
nobody around.
Yeah, like she had to get new friends and stuff like that. We did gain new friends and stuff like that, but still, it's very different.
Yeah.
And then, financially, all that stuff. And then first kid, like we don't even know. We've never raised a kid, so we're just trying to figure out how to raise a newborn kid. You know. And just and then she goes through her struggles or her experiences with, just raising a kid as a mother. It's a bunch of stuff and it's
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work for a young mom. And then we go into having our second kid, right? 6 years later. So we have second kid 6 years later. Now we have experience with raising a newborn, raising a kid.
Yep.
We have experience in our marriage. Our marriage has gone through 6 years of experience, right?
Yeah.
6 years of experience in marriage. And we've gone through a lot and learned each other better and, stuff like that. And then we have we have Micah. 13 years later, 12 years later, right? So 6 years gap in between all the kids, right? So we go from... And then with Chance, we were already back in Washington, the family, back in the environment where,
support.
I wasn't in the Army anymore, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then we have Micah, 13 years of marriage, 2 kids already, raising 2 kids. But, right, so we raising another newborn. However, have experience with raising 2 kids as newborns, right? But as we're raising this newborn, we use that experience raising that. We have no experience raising a teenager.
Yeah.
So
that
you know
whole
what I mean?
thing is still going.
So now we're growing in that sense.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's so important to grow, because you can't treat your 13-year-old like a newborn, and you have to be able to adapt to their situations that they go through in life now that you've never had to guide anybody else through as their parent or as their dad, right?
You might have an idea what they're going through.
Yeah.
But as a parent, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And trying to guide them the right way.
Or you only have experience from watching your parents treat you.
Boom.
You know what I mean?
It's like, is that the same way you want to be?
Is that how you want to do it?
Yeah. Is that how you want to guide them? Is that how you want to, teach them the lesson that they need to be taught?
Yeah.
Like I said, like my son just turned 13 a couple months ago or last month. And this is an experience that I'm learning from, because now I have to guide him in a different way because he understands me differently. He sees different things. He experiences different things in school. And if he's experiencing things the way I experienced it or somewhat like that, I can't say that you know, I can't sit. I don't want to guide him the way I went because I was doing crazy shit, you know, during that time. But, you know, at the same time being a good boy, but at the same time I was doing stuff I fucking shouldn't have been doing. But I also think it's different because I was being raised on Saipan is very different than being raised out here. And the stuff that we see and go through is very different. Right, you can run around Saipan all day. You don't have to worry about people snatching you up on the street. Out here is a very different thing. Like our kids just can't be running the streets all the time, you know. And we always have to be very aware of who they're out with. Yeah. So it's there's a whole bunch that goes into it, and that's why I talk about growing so much, because you have to grow along with your kids. You have to grow in your relationship. You have to grow in every sense that you possibly can. As an adult
in the world.
Yeah, like you have to grow, period. Like if you don't think you need to change, that's a problem, especially if you're adding things to your life and you don't think you have to adapt to those things. You can't adapt to things in the same way you have or in the past, as the same person that you were 10 years ago. Yeah. You can't. Like that's not how things can... Yeah. That's not how things are going to work out for the best for you. At least I don't believe. Yeah. You know, because and then especially thinking about like
how times change.
Yeah. You know, and things change around you. Your kids aren't the same as you when you were a kid, you know?
It's a different group.
Yeah. Your relationship with your spouse is not the same as the spouse or the relationship you saw your parents go through, you know? And there's just so much to it. But it's just, for me, the concept that I always like look back to is all I'm doing as I'm growing and things are happening is I'm resetting a new norm. You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is like, so, and this resetting.
For your kids.
Yeah, for everything. Or so just for everything, everything that I do, right? It's all I'm doing is resetting a new norm, right? So hopefully I can just lead right back to this. But when I ran my first marathon, people thought it was cool, right? Yep. Like, oh, shoot, he ran a marathon. It's dope. Ran my 5th. This is a norm now. Nobody thinks it's, you know, it's not special no more. It's nothing. This guy just runs the marathons, right? With the business. You know what I mean? When we start up, pop up, you know, it was a tent and, you know, a table, right? Tables, yeah. The new norm is very different now. You know, our standard is higher. We've grown. Yeah. Things have to be different. Things are better. Right? Things have to be better because our standard is raised. Yep. Our new norm is different, right? Our first podcast episode, standard was shit. We weren't very good at it. And that was our norm because we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. You know, we didn't have we're very new to it, right? Yeah. We're 46 episodes in, 47, right? 46, is it? 46. 46 episodes. 46 episodes in, and with other podcasts that I've been a part of too in other episodes, but 46 episodes in, and looks a little bit different now, right? Yeah. And it sounds a little bit different. We speak a little bit different because the norm is different, right? The norm is higher. With kids, it's the same thing. I feel like, or with the family, it's the same thing. All we're doing is resetting the new norm. So the norm, right, before Micah was born, the norm was, okay, we got 2 kids. This is how we deal with stuff. You know, when we go on trips, we only have to buy 4 tickets. We, you know, we don't have to, you know, chance in a booster seat. We just have a booster seat. You know, we have our cars only have to be seated for 4. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
Now we have a baby. Resetting the new norm. The new norm is now we have to make sure that we buy 5 tickets when we go on trips. We have a car seat and a booster seat in the car with the spot for the big boy, for Andre. You know, fuck everything. Like you just everything changed. Yeah. And it went from, okay, we got to give Chance a bath, and that's really it. You know, he's good. Now, Andre takes a shower himself. Chance has, you know, just a little bit of assistance, and Micah has to be given full bath. You know, so the norm is always changing. Yeah. You're resetting the norm all the time. Yeah, and that's just how life goes. Like you're just gonna keep, as long as you keep growing, you're gonna have to keep resetting the norm, and you're gonna grow with it. But you know what I mean. And it's just that thing. Like, and I just look back on like where I was when we had our first kid, and if I was that same dude trying to raise 3
boys,
it wouldn't be good. I wouldn't be teaching them the right things they need to be taught. Yeah. I wouldn't be raising them the way I now envision my kids to be, and because I'd be teaching them the wrong lessons. Not teaching them the wrong lessons, but I'd be teaching them the lessons in the wrong way. The wrong ways, you know, with the wrong methods, you know, because of how, you know, I was especially with Andre. So Andre, I was with him, I was using the methods that I went through, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm tough on him too. I'm very tough on Andre because I do expect a lot of him because he's smart, good looking, athletic. Like he has
and
what
he's the first.
And he's the firstborn.
Yep.
So I'm tough on him, right? And I expect him to be able to look out for his younger brothers and guide his younger brothers. So I'm very tough on him, but I have to go around. I mean, I have to, you know, help him and guide him in a way that's tough, but also he knows where I'm trying to take him. And he knows that, and this is like what I try to preach to him the most is like, do you think that I would do all this or, you know, talk to you about these things or make things tough for you if I didn't care?
Yeah.
If I didn't love you?
Yeah.
Like that's not why I do this. Like if I didn't, I wouldn't. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do whatever you want. I don't even care. You get in trouble, you get in trouble. Whatever. You act out, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But we take the time and I go through the things that I go through so that I can teach you as well, you know. So I can show you, like, I want you to be better than me. Yeah. And only way for me to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a parent's, ultimately, like a good parent's goal.
Yeah.
Is to make their childhood or their children's childhood better.
Yeah. And
so that they become better than them.
And what gets, I think what happens a lot is what, like, people get confused is, I want to give them and we just talked about this the other day, where it's like you want to give them everything you didn't have growing up.
Always heard that growing up,
right?
Yep.
You always want you. To most people, that's being the best parent. That's what the parent they want to be. Give my kids everything I didn't have.
Yep.
But even with that, there's a fine line of dealing with that. And what would you think? Like I don't mean, what's your perspective on that?
It's a fine line because, you end up giving, like I told you earlier, if you end up giving your kids everything that you didn't have, everything that you've always wanted, you could, it could eventually lead to entitlement.
Yeah.
Then your kid's going to be expecting everything that they want now on top of what you want to give them.
Yeah.
And then it gets bumpy from there. I think it gets bumpy from there.
Yeah.
And then you step into a hole and then you're like, oh shit, what happened? You go from this, wanting to give this little child that that you brought into this world everything you've ever wanted for yourself. You want to make sure they're set and they're okay, and then they turn on you.
Yeah, because they're entitled.
Now they're entitled. And now you've just built a monster. Like, what the hell happened?
And you've done that. It's not. It's not their fault, right?
Ultimately, that it comes down to that. And then it takes some real self-reflection to see that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, before that happens.
And I mean, that's why I'm really. And so this happened not too long ago. So, and I don't know if I should share. Look, I love my in-laws, right? I love my in-laws, and I know sometimes the way they see the way I kind of father, it might seem tough to them.
And I think that happens in a lot of families, to be honest. The
and
dynamic is real.
Because they I mean, they don't want to see their kids sad. Yeah. I mean, their grandkids sad and stuff like that. And I understand that. But I also don't want my kids to be entitled and to the world to eat them up.
Yeah. Because that's what you're trying to prevent.
Yeah. And I'm okay with sacrificing the present of them, being buddy with me, because I'm raising boys. I'm raising boys to be men.
You're reaching,
it's very different.
Future men.
Yeah, it's very different, and I want them to be good men. And if I don't intrude, or if I'm not on them or give them certain standards and expectations, they're gonna go away. That a lot of men are nowadays, where they're just, they don't work hard. They feel entitled. They believe they should get things that they don't deserve.
They're going to go the path of least resistance.
Yeah. And I don't want
when they get up there.
I want them to believe that they can achieve whatever it is they want to achieve, but they have to believe and understand that it takes hard work.
Yeah. And
it takes persistence, and you don't have to be and believe everything that everybody else believes. I don't want you to be a part of the crowd. Yeah. Like the one thing, especially with Andre, is like, dude, be you, dog. Like, be you. But all I want is, you can go any path you want. It doesn't matter. But for me, it's be a good person. Number one, be a good person, everybody. And work hard in whatever it is that you're gonna do. Like, and have a good attitude about it. Like, just really in this world, that's really the best you can do.
Yeah. That's hard. That's hard though, to tell your son to be you. especially since, you know, growing up, peer pressure is real.
Yeah.
You know, wanting to fit in is a real thing. And it really just depends on them, how they process things internally. But, you know, I'm the same way with Liam. Yeah. I'm hard on him as well.
Yeah.
You know, in the same way. But I like to also take the time to explain why on a lot of things. And I know sometimes he'd be getting bored as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to break everything, little thing down to him. Because my dad did that to me later in life, in high school. You know, I'm already on the way out of high school. I'll be leaving the island soon. But through the years of high school, he would do the same thing. Whenever I messed up or he saw an opportunity for a life lesson for me to learn from, he'd sit me down and he would just talk my ear off. A lot of times I'm just doing this too, just looking, just zoning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I felt like for me, that planted a lot of seeds in my head that eventually grew later. So with Liam, with my son, with both my kids now, it's like, yeah, I see it now. As a father, I now see the role flipped.
Yeah.
Now I'm planting the seeds in him. But earlier than I got, that it planted in me. You know what I mean? I was in high school. I had him from the start. You know what I mean? So my hope is that those little seeds start to grow eventually. And I think I'm coming up right behind you as far as age. Liam's going to be 12 next month. You know, so slowly but surely, I'm starting to see those little seeds grow. But then also now I'm starting to see the changes in school. You know, we're kind of seeing this little shift now, of like, now he wants to do more. Yeah. He wants to. For some weird reason, I'm weird on music, but now he's coming to me. You know, he wants to listen to music, and so I just sat his ass down. I was like, okay, you want to listen to music? Let's have a talk. And I talked his ear off again about it. You know, about the power of music, the influence it has on you. It could be like a brainwashing mechanism. So planting those little seeds in him, and hopefully, you know, it'll give him wisdom. Down the road. But eventually, I'm gonna have to let it go. I'm gonna have to let go and, you know, see how he is in the world. Yeah.
And but that's scary. That's what we're I mean that's the whole thing, right? Is you can only do so much. You don't want to hover over them all the time. You're not going to be there forever. But the plan is give them as much of you as you can. Give them as much as you can, and hopefully some of the things stick. You know. You know, I guess if you plan enough, some of it sticks.
Yeah, it's gonna grow.
And
that's the hope.
I mean, we know that as, you know, men now, like. When we were growing up, like you said, your dad was on.
Yeah.
I had my uncles on.
And that was late in the game,
Yeah, and just like at the time, you hate it. You don't want it. You don't like it. You don't want to listen. You don't all that. And but when you grow up, it's like everything they did, it stuck. Like
things will start to click. Things will make sense. God, that's what they meant. This is what they're talking about.
Yeah,
and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have experienced that already, especially since our listener group is in their 30s. Yeah. I think when I looked on the analytics, you can see the age group,
mostly 30s to 45 or something like that. Yeah, and it's that, man. Like it's like for me, it's just like that constant reminder. And I see like I said, Andre's changing and he's growing and he's adapting to his environments now, and I can see that, you know, he's becoming his own dude with a lot of things that we've talked about. And like I said, it seems like they're not listening, but they're listening. It seems like they're not watching, but they're watching, man. And they see what you do and they see everything like that goes on around them, especially when it's in their home, you know. And I can see those things, you know, the switch in Andre's head where he's just creating those habits, those, you know, doing the things that, you know, he sees us do or speak the way we speak, just stuff like that. And making the decisions when he's away from us that like we just like when we get emails and stuff, we know like at this point, I know if Andre's being intentional with certain things at school, like if he's like, I don't think he falls into peer pressure as bad as, you know, I was like afraid of, you know, like I don't think he falls into peer pressure that much because one, I know he knows that he has to answer to me if he does, right? If it's something that he shouldn't be doing, he has to answer to me because I tell him all the time, I'm going to find out. You know, no matter what you do, but I'm going to find out. Somebody's going to let me know, or I'm going to see it in your face. You know, I'm your dad. Or, you know, I'm going to find out. And I just think that, and I tell him all the time, like everything that you do, it's going to take its toll down the road. Like it's going to pop up some way, somehow. And you're really just, whatever you decide on, it's going to reflect on the kind of person that you are. And even with like, and he tells me the stories too about like, yes, there's people that get, you know, either they're picked on or they have, you know, maybe a disability or people don't treat them very well. Yeah. enjoy like him being that guy open to those people and treating those people, you know, better than they're being treated by the majority. And you know, those are the little things that, you know, he's a kid, man. He makes his mistakes. He does stupid stuff. I always tell him, I get it, man. I get it. But at the same time, there's certain things that you know you shouldn't be doing. And I know when you're just being intentional, you're just doing it to do it.
We all got that little voice in our head.
Exactly. And
that knows better.
Yeah, it's very, I think it's just different, man. Like coming from, you know, it's like you're going back and forth, jumping, you know, from age group or age to age.
For you guys?
Yeah, for us. Yeah. Like just age, from dealing with Andre, dealing with Chance, dealing with Micah. Like they all just need different things.
Yeah, so that's why I said when you guys had Micah, I was like, dang, dude, you're starting over again, dude. Yeah,
bro, literally today.
It's like crazy.
Ching went on a run, dog. She went on her run. So Micah wakes up. It seemed like he always wakes up from his nap as soon as she's walking out the door. So that means I have him for the entire, like he's awake the entire time she's out for a run. And he don't like me. He don't like me like that. Like I can't hold him and I don't feel all soft like, you know, like Ching. Like I don't have that mother's baby connection. So this dude be mad the whole time he's up with me. Damn. Right? So as I was holding him, Chance is in the bathroom taking a dump. Right?
Sound like a hot mess already.
So I'm holding Micah, bro. Yeah. And then Chance calls me and I need to wipe his ass, bro. Like at the same time as I'm holding Micah. So I'm holding a baby, 3-month-old baby, and wiping my 6-year-old's ass, bro. Because he wasn't gonna do it good enough for this instance, you know? So it's like this is the epitome of being a dad right here.
That's crazy. Because that's something we're both fathers, but I have not experienced that level of, you know what I mean? Because my kids are close. They're one right after the other.
Yeah.
So I was telling you, I was like, dude, once we got out of diaper phase, it was like, oh, no more diapers.
Yeah.
Then we get out of the car seat phase. And we just got out of the booster seat phase. And now it's like, whoop. I remember holding them both like this. And like, I can't wait till these guys get in the car on their own. There's a lot of work to get them in, loaded up and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my experience is different because they were both babies, both diapers. Mm-hmm. And yeah, shit went off real quick, you know, on some instances. But, but you know, you're like, boom, done. Now you restart again. Boom, done. Now you restart again.
Every 6 years, bro. Every 6 years.
Ching better run away after 6 years.
Every 6 years. But yeah, man, it was funny because you bring up it's like, I can't wait until those are those things too where you look at it and it's like, I remember the times
it's a double-edged sword
when Andre would be in the back in his car seat, and I'm just like, and you can see him bopping his head to like music and stuff. Yeah. And then I'm like, dude, I can't wait till he can like sing to songs. And then that time comes. And then it's like, dude, the time comes, it's like, oh, you're happy. But then the shit like that passes you by. And then the next, he's on to the next thing, you know? Like there's just so much stuff that happens and just
quick, dude.
Being in the damn present and seeing what the hell your kids are doing and how they're growing, man.
And I remember when we had little ones too, parents with older kids like, oh man, enjoy it. These are the fun years. So I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't wait till they start like, leave me alone. And now that they're older and that they're on their own and, you know, now they got electronics and you know, they got their rooms, they could just kind of do their own thing. It gets kind of quiet and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
I watch
a car crash or is that like thunder, bro? That's crazy.
Bro, that's thunder.
That's insane. I hope you guys can hear that on the...
But yeah, it's just crazy. You know, they always say that, you know, oh, these are the fun years. But yeah. But now that it's quiet, sometimes it's quiet. Then I'm looking for, now I go into the room. What are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Or I call my girl out here, come snuggle me on the couch. Because I can see now the time is slowly running out.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have little ones, man, enjoy what you can. It is tough in the beginning, but it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, so another big thought that I think is very important, and I kind of hit on it a little bit, but I believe, at least for me as a father and as a husband, that I need to lead my family, right? Mm-hmm. And I've always believed, whether I was in the military, not, if you're a leader, especially as a man, you lead by example. Like that's, for me, that's the best way you lead. Yeah. And I feel like the easiest way for people to follow or be influenced by you, because they see your actions, your habits, stuff that you do, and the kind of person that you are, and then they immediately are looking for your results. What are the results in your life? And that's what that can determine, you know, I mean, other than the emotional factor, like how they feel about you, and also the results in your life, right?
Yeah.
And are those the type of results they want? And I've always, especially for my boys, like I said, first and foremost, I want them to be better than me. So I can show them my norm, right? And what I believe to be a good man, what a good man should be doing, right? And I show them the things that I do on a daily basis, or they know, they're aware of it, even if they don't see it every day or whatever, but they're aware of it. You know, daddy runs, daddy works out, daddy eats healthy, you know, daddy treats mommy this way, daddy treats us this way, daddy walks like this, daddy talks to people like this, he respects people like this. And these are the kind of things that I always want to show them, especially when they're around and they see what we're doing. Like they come to Run Club, they see Run Club, they see how that is. They come to, you know, MBHQ, they see me running a fucking business, you know, stuff like that. And they've seen the things that I've done. Like daddy was in the military, he served. Daddy, you know, daddy does all these things. And this is, you know, to show them, you know, like this, because it can be another way. Because before it was daddy drinks, daddy plays softball, you know, just think about like that version of me. That's who they saw. And if I was always that person, that's all they're going to see. And this is what they believe a man to be. And this is most likely what they're going to follow.
They're sponges.
Exactly. You know, and this is what they see. This is you're their dad, you know, this is what they're going to follow.
Parents are the first teachers, man. So
and it's not like you can, and you know, we've talked about this, like me and Will have talked about this on the podcast before. It's just like how we sit there and we do all these things, and then we bark orders at our kids and we tell them, you know, all these things, but we don't even do it ourselves, bro. We don't even listen to ourselves. Like we sit there and we yell at them, and when we see them, like at the like softball field or drinking sessions or whatever, we barely see the kids. They're out playing or whatever, and then when we do see them, we're getting on them about something that they did that was stupid. It's like, whose fault is that? Really, it's really our fault, because we're not even intentionally with them, you know, and they're just doing their own thing, and then all they do is they see you just drinking, like, and you're just playing softball and shit. Like, I mean, this is just my experience, you know what I'm saying? This is just me and Will, like, we talk about, we really common in that sense. So this is things that we did. And I look back at that, I'm like, dude, no wonder why Andre was a wild child. First off, like he was
everywhere.
He was everywhere, man. First off, like I missed his first three birthdays. Like I missed a lot of time with him growing up, because while I was in the military, I was out training a lot. I was gone a lot. And I was in Kansas, they're here in Washington, like just stuff like that. And then when I come here, it's like drinking softball. Like, that was the thing. And it's like, it's just those things like that. That's the example of a man that I was giving to my son. And I mean, he even remembers a situation when I was drinking and then I almost got into a fight. Like he remembers that. He's brought it up to me not too long ago, you know, and like, that's not what I want to show them. A drunk, angry, like for what? Like there's no reason for that. So in my mind, I shift all of that. I have two boys, you know, after that. Andre had to see that stuff. I don't want these two to see that stuff. You know, I want them to see me see what a man should be in a different light. A man should be fit. A man should be strong. A man should be, you know, should know how to watch his tongue. A man should be emotionally intelligent. You shouldn't be run off the rails just because you're mad. Like you should be able to control that. Things can happen. And I want them to always see that. Like when things go wrong, you can stay calm and handle situations. It might seem crazy at the time, but you can handle situations. And I think that's very fucking important as a man and a leader of a family. Emotional intelligence. Because a lot of dudes I know don't even have that. They act like every situation has to dictate how they act. You know, when you can, instead of assessing a situation and responding to it.
Responding versus reacting.
And it's just like, and you can see it a lot in men, especially, like how they respond to situations. Like, how do you respond under duress? Like, how do you react under duress? Like, shit happens, man. How are you are you there to solve the problem, or are you there to make the problem even bigger than it has to be? You know?
That's a crazy thought. Going back to Andre, like seeing those things. So out of the boys, he will have a piece that the other two won't. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just a crazy thought. I was just thinking about that. It's like, damn, that's right.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a part of his core memories to see you make that transitional change. So that's just it's crazy to think about that.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it sucks that I had to, and I've said this in the podcast before. Like, it sucks that I had to show them that, like, show him.
But
that,
I mean, in the sense of that's the burden of the oldest. I always tell that to my brother when it comes to like family issues. He's calling me and talking about stuff. I was like, well, brother, that's the burden of the oldest right there, brother. That's why you were first.
And that's why
good luck.
And I think that's why maybe grandparents are the way they are to the grandkids, because they've evolved and changed, and they just want to make the kids happy and give. And I understand. It's part of it, but I'm really about sacrificing the present for myself. Like they don't have to see me in the same light as they see, grandparents or mom or auntie, uncles. Like everybody can be their friend. I'm here to guide you, because the main number one thing for me is because it is a fear of mine. It's a fear of mine for my kids to go out, do crazy things, get hurt, go to jail, like stuff like that's a fear of mine. So maybe I'm acting out of fear, I don't know, but I still think it's the best for them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because what you're doing is not wrong. What you're doing is to help them in the future. So I don't think it's it's tough for them now.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of life ahead of us, man. There's a lot even now where we're at currently in life. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. Even now where we're at, this will change. The next phase is coming.
Yeah.
Because when when they were babies, it's like, dude, it felt like it was gonna be like this forever. Then they started walking, then they started talking, then it was school. You know what I mean? It just keeps going, man. So even right here, right now, to me, right now, it's like, damn, we're in this groove. But eventually, that's gonna change.
Yeah,
oldest is gonna move out, or graduate high school, got to get a job now. It's like, dude, it's coming. It is coming, and that's why good parents. That's why we worry a lot. That's why we want. That's why we push hard. That's why I push hard on Liam, because he's first. You're first up, dude. You set the tone for your sister. You know what I mean? And you got to be ready for the world, because it's coming to you whether you're ready or not.
Yeah. And
so,
I mean, that's our job, is to get them ready, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, because
it sucks now, but it's gonna pay off in the future once you know how to handle all this adversity that's coming your way, like it's nothing, or you make it through.
And you know how I always talk about, I'm very like out there, like future vision, right? And that's what I always think about with my kids. Like right now, you guys might not like it, right? You might not like
it's tough,
but I understand like what it's like to be a man in this world. I understand what the world is going to give you, and you cannot turn victim to that. You cannot feel entitled to that. You have to I want what you're going through right now with me to be the tough time, so that when in the future comes, because it's controlled, right? Right now it's hard, it's tough, but it's controlled, because I'm in control of it, and I'm giving you this hard time. I'm giving you that pushback. I'm giving you that resistance to whatever it is that you say you want, so that when you get out there, you understand resistance is going to come. People are going to try and put you down. The world's not going to give you, the universe is not going to always give you what you want, because you're not doing the right things. So if we can teach you those habits now, we can teach you the right things now, down the road,
it can make your life easier.
Yes, because just try not to create entitled kids, man. Like, I'm so worried about that shit.
And it is such a fine line, dude.
It is.
I see it right now. Like the contrast between my son and my daughter. I'm really hard on Liam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have to make that mental decision to turn that down. You know what I mean? My wife says, he's just a kid. I said, okay, you're right. So I got to turn that thing down every now and then, and I fear for him the most, because also he's going to be a man. And in my upbringing, right out of high school, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
In high school, I didn't know what I wanted. I was completely lost. I didn't know. I had no aim. I had no direction. I had no structure. And it was like a lot of this shit I had to figure out over the years. You know what I mean? So, and I wish somebody did that for me back in the day, because my parents split and stuff like that. So, but that's why I'm so hard on him, because I know what it's going to be like eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm here to give you that boost, give you that, that leg up on the competition and, you know, give you a good head start.
Yeah.
When it comes to my daughter, on the other hand, yeah, we still got problems there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough for me to discipline that one. That's my girl. That's my princess. So that I still have a ton of learning to do, but I'm also, now that she's getting older, I'm seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to create that little monster, you know, and she comes out every now and then. And I don't know what it is for me. I'm not a, you know, some guys have girls and they're like boys to them, but for my girl, that's my only one. So I'm a softie when it comes to that one. But like I said, I'm starting to see the change now. So now I'm going to have to make that mental switch again to turn on that heat, you know, step her down a couple notches and, you know, make sure I set the tone right for how she acts.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of creating a monster.
Yeah. I mean, this is perfect because the next one like that I had on my notes, I just took a peek real quick, but it's like really thinking about what the example you're showing, right?
Yeah.
So the example you're showing to your kids, right? So you are the perfect example of this because you have a boy and a girl, right? So more than likely, right, your daughter is going to marry somebody like you.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but like even me, like I've looked at it, I'm a lot like my father-in-law. Me and him are a lot alike, right? But, and then at the same time, Liam is going to turn out a lot like you also as a man.
Yeah.
Right? So in this,
hopefully
like,
better.
It's really thinking about it, right? Like, are you really showing them, because you're thinking about the best for them. Are you really showing them? And this is what I'm always thinking too in my eyes for my kids. Yeah. But are you really showing them the best for them and what you expect from them and what you want them to eventually be or better?
Yeah.
Right. Or guiding them towards that.
Yes.
Right. Would you, like, if you looked at yourself, right, would you want your daughter to marry somebody like you? Would you want your son to be the man that you are?
Yeah.
You know?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Man, am I am? No, because like I said, I'm figuring out the game way too late. You know what I mean? So the hope is he becomes better than me. And I guess in a sense, for my daughter as well.
Wait, but hold on, because some people never open their eyes to that though.
Yeah,
you know, like, but you have, so that's the difference.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
so it's not like that you're not good, right? But it's like some people just never have open, and then this is for people that, you know, they just don't seek anything better than what they are, or they don't seek growth for themselves or nothing like that. That's. But what you're saying, you're trying to make it seem like you're not good, but like you're solid. But it's just like you open. If you didn't open your eyes to that, I feel like there's no way to guide him to be better, you know, because you just you're not experiencing yourself. Yeah. You know, you can't guide him in a way you've never been. You can't fucking show him a path that you've never been on. So sorry.
No, I like that though. I like that comparison. But I don't even know where we're at now.
Oh, you're about to talk about a daughter. So like when it comes to like the man that she eventually marries.
Oh yeah, then that's what I said. Hopefully, this the same as, you know, definitely I'd want him to be like me. Otherwise, we're gonna have some problems.
Yeah, you know what
I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you talk about like, so if I never, like, we go back, if I never changed, right, and I was just doing all the same shit I used to do, my three boys would eventually be just three more of me. Coming up, they'd be out there just drinking and fucking playing softball, and probably have a job they don't enjoy, they don't like. They're not doing anything with any purpose that they probably, you know, that's sad part, because they're more than likely gonna follow my steps, my path. Yeah, they're gonna see how hard I work. Maybe I'm just a guy that I work hard at work, and then I come home and then probably don't even work hard at work like that, because when I get home I don't do anything, because I used to do that. I used to go to work, come home, sit on the couch, watch ESPN all day, right, the rest of the day before I go to sleep. But it's just that, like, I'm showing them what a man should be. I'm displaying what I think a man should be. You're displaying that for your kids, right? And then, like, I think about just being the example, right, for, okay, like, I don't have to worry about a daughter growing up, right? I don't have to worry about my daughter eventually marrying, but I have to worry about my three boys marrying a woman someday, somebody else's daughter someday. Yeah. And I always want like I dream of it being them being the best option that girl could ever have, right? Yeah. And being the best man. So I have to show them what that's like by treating their mom that way, right? Yeah. This is the way you should treat your wife. This is the way the things you should do for your wife. This is the way you should speak to your wife, you know? And like I said again, back then, there were times where I would talk in a way that was very disrespectful, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't see that anymore. Like that doesn't happen. Yeah. You know, I'm always in, like I said, that emotional intelligence thing, that's a real fucking thing because I never get driven out to go, it doesn't matter how fucking mad I am or what's, you know, bothering me. I don't need to get out of control to make a point or send a message. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything can be under control.
Yeah.
And before it just wasn't like that. I
just blowing up.
You just blow up, you know.
I mean, I've seen my fair share of that growing up as well.
You know, and I just don't want that to be, and I saw that too. You know, I grew up I saw some crazy shit when my parents were together, and I would never want my kids to see that shit or experience that shit. I never want
just
them to see that.
Because think how much memories is still in your head about all that stuff.
Yeah. And
even me, I'm like, man.
I was young, but I remember that shit, you know, and I would never want my kids to see some shit like that, especially not from me, especially not from their mother. They should never see that stuff.
And to like in the case of my parents, you know, that same thing, you know, they were young, military in the States, from the islands. It's like, it's a rocky situation, man.
The whole new world that they have to navigate together, and they just don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Just don't know. You just go through it, and it's like, fuck it. The easy thing is, and I mean, I don't want to shit on it because sometimes, you know, it works out for people, like you said, right? Like sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it's just that the easy thing is to quit on the relationship, right? That is the easier thing.
Just give up.
Just walk away from it. But the harder thing is to grow with that person.
To learn.
To
work through the issues, work through the problems. And it's a give and take, man. Yeah. There might be some instances you're pissed off, but you're the one in the wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard pill for you to swallow.
Yeah.
And if you want to make the relationship work, you got to be willing to accept that and then move forward.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a big thing. I think a big change that I've made in the last couple of years was like in me and Ching's relationship, right? Like, so, like, I don't think that I'm responsible for her happiness. Like that's all back to her. Like she controls that, right? But at the same time, like when she's not happy or when things seem stressful and you know we're trying to navigate new stuff or you know it just doesn't seem like it's one of those highs, what am I doing to add to that? What am I doing to make it not a not so good situation? You know, what can I do to make it better? You know, I try and take it back on me. I don't ever, no more do I try and throw it at her or try and be like, why are you like this? Why are you, you know, it's not like that.
Yeah,
it's
just
like,
pointing the blame at her.
Yeah, it goes, I immediately try and take, what am I doing? You know, what am I doing? And a lot of times I do catch it. It might not be the whole thing, right? The whole reason why, you know, things are going this way, but it could be a piece of it. And it could be a piece that's contributing to the reason why things are that way. You know, so how can, you know, there's just how, and I think that's just like a main and a very big like factor of a good man or trying to be a good man is you're trying to be a problem solver. You're trying to solve problems. Like that should be, I think that's what a man is. I think a man is a problem solver, not somebody that contributes to problems or creates problems. So anytime like these situations come up, the immediate action for me, immediate thought is, what am I doing? How can I fix it? How can I fix that problem? You know, what am I doing to add to that problem or to not make the situation better? You know, how can I try my best to fix it in my control, you know, like not trying to fucking do something that's like ridiculous or, you know, but it's like a lot of times you might say things or you might be doing things that you're not really aware of that are contributing. So, you know, you can peel that shit back like,
that's why communication is key. I think over the years I did the same thing. I was very internalized, you know, didn't really say what I was thinking, just shut that door, bloop, and just wait for the time to pass. When things cool down, act like nothing happened. You know what I mean? But as I've gotten older, I've learned the importance of talking about it, which is hard to start, man. It's hard. You know, My wife's really good at talking. She's really good with her feelings. I was not brought up like that. We don't say nothing about no feelings. You know what I'm saying? I've kind of learned that from her. It's like, okay, it is important to talk about it, because otherwise, how are you going to work through it in the future? Yeah. It's going to happen again. You know, we all have our ups and downs, but talking with her and for me, having to swallow some damn pride. Yeah. Because that's a real thing too. You know, you got to swallow that pride. You got to open that door. You got to talk about it, communicate how this is what I felt in that situation, or she tells me how she felt. And then now I have to think about that. And that comes back to the problem solving thing. Okay. Now we know what the issue is. How can we move forward? How can we find a solution to make it work, so that we don't have to go through this again? Or next time we go through something like this, we have more tools to work with to get through it. I've in a better way. Yeah,
I've like just thinking about that, like you talking like, okay, we talk about it, but I remember how I used to be, right? And so like Ching would tell me, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that, and once again back to the emotional control, right? My immediate thing was to flip and be like and get into defense mode, right? And not take into consideration she sees these things, right? I may not be seeing it the same way.
She's the outside perspective.
So it's like one of those things that, okay, understand. And it's not like I don't know if you have to tell them or whatever, but what I've done is I'm just like a Roger that guy, you know. So you tell me this, these are the things that you see, Roger that. In my head, in my mind, in my body, I'm going to try to fix those things now, right? If I, you know, whether I agree or not, I will look into it, right? And I will, you know, assess whether or not, you know, those I can fix those things, or is there's adjustments that need to be made, you know, and then go about it. But it's not going immediately into defense mode and start arguing over stuff that doesn't matter. You're not solving the problem, right? You're not attacking the problem. You're just trying to win an argument at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just trying to prove that you're in the right.
Yep.
And
that's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, it's the wrong fucking way to try to go about, you know, growing together and fixing problems in your relationship.
Because eventually one of the two's gonna get tired of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I felt like, you know, me and Chin went through struggles, you know, early on in our relationship, you know, and I think a lot of it has come down to that, where it's, all right, this is going on, this is happening, fucking, you say it, and then, or sometimes it's not even as big of a deal as you fucking might think, right? Sometimes, I remember even back then, like, bro, she rolled her eyes at me, or just says some demeaning ass shit or something, like, that's when I get pissed. Yeah, I get pissed, like, or and I'm just not like react, like, I was never like that where I just go crazy, or like I said, I just kind of bottle it up, hold on to it for a long time. At some point, I'm drinking, might just get mad, and then it fucking comes out. Right? And it was a cycle of doing that. And now it's more like, all right, all right, this happened. Is it a big deal? Not really. It really doesn't affect anything. It's whatever. Yeah. I don't let it bother me anymore. Yeah. It's done right there. When I said that it's done, in my head, it's done. We don't carry it on.
You're not lingering on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's done. All right, we got to move on.
That takes some just internal strength as well.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
Because there's things that can keep stacking on top of
it burns, right? Sometimes it just burns, but you have to let it go.
Yeah.
And then your decision to let it go, you know, I've done that a couple of times where I just gotta drop it. I just gotta let it go, and I make sure I'm aware of it consciously, and then you can literally feel it go away. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. But if you're not ready to let it go, oh boy, it just burns. Yeah. Oh my God, you just.
But if that shit happens again, though, there's like things you can let go, and then just things like, all right, this shit keeps happening. Yeah. And this shit ain't right.
Yeah.
That's when talk about it. Yeah. Bring it up. Bring it up. All right. Talk about it.
And letting stuff go too, man. You gotta let that thing go. Yeah. That stuff adds up, man.
Because I think a lot of the time when things bother people, right? Like, I know for me, like if things bothered me, it was something. It's about a story I told myself, right? So, like, I don't know. I can't even think of an instance, but like if you said something to me in the wrong tone, or like just anything like that, I'm creating that story in my head.
In your own head.
You don't respect me. You're disrespectful. This is how you see me. Yeah. But it could have just been, no, motherfucker, she had to raise her voice a little bit, or she had to, maybe she didn't have to, but maybe she said it in a way that she didn't
realize
it wasn't intentional to say it in this way, but that's just how it came out, maybe, and that's just me telling myself a story. Now I created a big ass problem because I want to get super mad about it, hold it in, not talk to you for a couple days, couple weeks. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it just create big problems. Like I said, man is about solving problems. So we're here to try to solve the problems, and we have to carry on. There's other things that need to be done, right? So if I'm fucking pissed off and our relationship is struggling, and I always think about that, like if our relationship is going through a rough patch, we still have 3 kids that we have to raise. We still have to work together to make that shit happen. So you can be mad all you want, but these things still have to get done. Yeah. And you have to work together to get that done. Yeah. So you can hold on, be mad. You can be mad about it and do it, or you can just get over it and do it. Or you can fix it and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't ever say get over it. You might get in deeper trouble. Just get over it, girl. Now it's turned physical.
No, remember back in the day we used to say, "Hey, use the front of your hand. That's abuse. Backhand's discipline."
Oh my gosh. We might have to cut that part out.
That's just a joke.
No, comedians.
Yeah, that's just funny as hell. But we used to say this shit, but no, that's not really how it goes. There's no abuse happening. A man does not hit a woman.
That's right.
Shit. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm glad we got to, get some of that stuff out.
I think that's good perspective from, 2 different type.
Yeah.
2 different types. In relationships and parenthood, and parenting. Yeah, it's good perspective.
I think it's just, honestly, just looking back, it's like, all it ever is, whether it's in the marriage, having kids, things happening in life, like career wise, whatever it is within, and then it involves your whole family. It's really, I believe, it's just resetting a new norm and creating new, habits and actions and behaviors that accommodate that new norm, and that's just like, and a lot of times, like, all these things always seem like it seems like it's going to be really hard. And there are times and there's seasons in that period when you're resetting that new norm that it is hard and it is difficult to get through it, but you will get through it. It always passes, and it's when you understand that all these things and, the flow of relationships and stuff like that, it's all ups and downs, and it doesn't last forever. Like, you understand that you can adapt and overcome all of it, right? And you can get through all of it, and you don't have to make, just because you're in a down time in a relationship or whatever season when it comes to your relationship or the kids or whatever, doesn't mean that it's going to stay like that forever, or you need to make it worse.
Yeah, you just feels like seasons change,
and it goes back up to another season. So it's just like adapting to all of it and just going for the damn ride, man. Like, that's life. And if it doesn't go like that, then I don't know what kind of life we live in. And that's just the way it is. It's part of it, and it's part of growing and, understanding yourself and the situation that you're in, your relationship. That's how you learn about your relationship. These are the tests of you being a parent. These are the tests of you being a husband or a wife. Or a wife, This is the test, like, can you endure? The best things happen because you endured. So, like I said, like, my relationship is better than ever because we endured a lot of shit together. And the same thing with my kids. My kids endure a lot of me, so they will come out better because of it. And that's just the way I see it. So I want them to I just want them to have to deal with me before they have to deal with the real world, so that the real world is not that hard. Not as hard for them. Yeah. Even though it still will be hard for
them. My dad hit me hard in this. I'm about to get in trouble in this podcast.
You going to jail, boy. No, but yeah. It's a journey, man. Enjoy it.
Really try to zoom out and enjoy it. Especially parenting.
Yeah. I'm at fault. Sometimes I'm in the zone for whatever, project or whatever stuff I'm doing, and I know I just want to be there for my boys and be a good dad and show them an example of what I believe a good man does. And in the end, that's when I leave this world. I hope at least they can remember that and they turn out to be good men because of that. And yeah. And this is another reason why I like doing these podcasts too, right? So I don't care how many views it gets. I don't care. Whatever.
About it going viral.
I don't care about that stuff. But when my boys become men, they will always be able to come back to all these episodes that we recorded.
Yeah.
And whether I'm around or not, they have something of me that they can go back to reflect on, because their dad came out here and got uncomfortable, talked on the microphone, got recorded, put it out to the web. And now at any point they can come back and, see what my dad believed.
Yeah.
And this is who my dad was. And they can take on the lessons and everything that I shared on these episodes. Yeah. And, I hope down the road that these things do it. Yeah. And I'm glad that we decided to do all these things, because I know at some point it's going to especially help my boys,
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a thought.
Something to look back on.
Yeah.
We cover all your
yeah, I mean, that's about everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope if it helps, and it
if you got something from it, if it resonated.
Yeah, if it some of our mistakes and failures and stuff like that, I share a lot of it, because a lot of it I was just I acted younger and irresponsible for a long time, and maybe most people don't see it or don't know it, but yeah, I was very irresponsible, and I did some things pretty well, and I did other things not so well.
Yeah,
like being a dad and stuff like that, and being a husband. So these are things that I've really tried to be a lot better at, and just kind of share my experience as I go through it, and try to become better in all ways as a man and all the things that I take on in my life. So we'll just share these things, and hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope if you think it can help somebody else, you share it for us. Share the pod, share the YouTube video, share the audio on social media, just send it to a friend, something like that.
Yeah,
it'll help them, and it'll help us grow too, to reach more people. So yeah, you know the deal. Go out, be your best. Always do that shit out style. Let's go.
And fight for our lives, yeah. I said they hit us in the morning way before the sunrise. Didn't give us one.